Hello viewers, welcome to Human of South Sudan. If this is your first time, please don't hesitate to follow us on Facebook, we are Host Media, and on YouTube, we are Human of South Sudan. Today, we are in high referendum in a very, very beautiful and nice school called St. Lawrence. And the reason why we are here, we need to bring to you one of the important citizens of South Sudan who is fighting the war of illiteracy. Are you ready to meet him? Please follow me. Like I said earlier, with me is the director of this wonderful school, and I would like him to introduce himself. John, how are you?
I'm good.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome to St. Lawrence Academy.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Can you tell us who is John Achier?
Thank you, Host Media, Steve, for coming to St. Lawrence Academy. Introduction, I'm by name achier Manyuat John, Director of St. Lawrence Academy. Academic background, bachelor degree holder in finance and accounting from Kenya Methodist University, master's in banking and finance from Moi University, and another master's in economic development and policy analysis from Juba University. I'm a married man, father of Lauren and Anoka, who are also studying in St. Lawrence Academy. Of course, St. Lawrence is a bishop in Rome, and we choose St. Lawrence based on value, and it happened that my son is by name Lauren. So the name is not belong to my son, it is actually belong to one of the saints in Rome, who was killed in 10 August 250 AD, Roman. So we choose St. Lawrence based on values.
When did you start this school, St. Lawrence Academy?
Thank you so much. We initiated the idea in 2010, because anything you do, it must have a vision. So the conceptual plan came up in 2010, and it was in paperwork till we actualized it in 2015. 2015, that is when we start the construction. And as you mentioned earlier, you are very aware how we start. We start with the 2 block, those small block down. So I can say it, St. Lawrence operation has 3 years. So we consider the years of its operation. But when we go back to where we start the process, the construction and what, it took us many years for us to reach to a level of putting it operation. Yes.
Now, so far for these 3 years, how many students do you have?
This takes us to comparison of the school. St. Lawrence consists of nursery, primary, and secondary section. All these sections are under London Compass. We are in the secondary section here, primary is there, and nursery is there. The number of learners in secondary section is 1,700.
Very good, which is a very good number.
Yes, in primary we have 1,400. In nursery we have 500.
Wonderful, this is wonderful. You know, in these all campuses that you have, do you offer boarding schools for all of them, or there are only one section that you have decided to offer boarding schools for?
We have boarding school, and I think after this interview you'll go and see the area for boarding. We have boarding school, both primary and secondary section. Yes.
Actually, you are one of the important persons that we South Sudanese were appreciating, because if there is one person who is fighting the fight, this war of illiteracy, then we are really proud of you, because you, with the rest of the other schools, you are trying your level best. Despite the fact that most of our public schools, they are not contributing that much, of which you have really tried your best to close that gap. Now, can you tell me, How many teachers do you have in the school?
From 3 sections, of course, teachers go according to the ratio of learners in the class. And once you want to achieve the quality, in St. Lawrence, the vision of the school is to be the leading center of academic excellence in the region and beyond. For us to achieve that, it requires us to get qualified teachers, both from nursery to secondary school, which come with cost. So when the population is high, the number of teachers must also go according to the population.
Exactly.
In primary section, we have about 45.
Wonderful.
Nursery, we have 10. Because nursery, we have 3 sections.
3 sections, yeah.
3 sections.
Baby,
Middle and this one. Of course, you require 2 to 3 teachers in one class. The one that is monitoring, the one that is engaging, and the one that is teaching. Yeah. So primary we have 46, then 10 in nursery. Secondary school we have 50 teachers.
That makes a total of 106 something there, which is a huge number.
Yes.
A huge number. You have great employment to South Sudan, which is also another contribution that you have done. Now, I want simply to ask you, before you started education, venturing into education, what were you doing before? Because you told us you are a kind of person who have really gone through an academic background. You went through different strong universities, including our own university here, and you have attained good record. Can you tell us, before you started this, what were you doing before?
This go back to my life, steep, and coming to where we are is not an easy task. I grew up from a very small village in Bargazal. My mom is not educated, and I'm very proud of her. My dad too. So it happened that I found the opportunity of going to school, acquiring knowledge. And that knowledge has opened my ways to assist other South Sudanese who are actually of the same background with me. I share your own background. I have been a child soldiers. From child soldiers, I work with some NGOs before. I also work with a government. Very short, I work in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Department of Political Affairs, in the embassy for more than 8 years, Nairobi embassy. From there, of course, after acquiring my papers, with the vision of establishing the school, I decided to quit serving with the Foreign Affairs. And I came to Juba to lecture around. I lectured in Stockport University and Kampala by then, and some college around. So those are the areas I've worked with. I've also worked with, I came to start working with petroleum company when I've established and constructed the St. Lawrence Academy. Yes, yes.
Actually, through your short life story that you have told us, it shows that through education you can do anything. That what do you tell South Sudanese young children and students, and even your own students here growing up through hard life? What do you tell them? Just simply through your...
Steve, I always give interpretation of our school logo, vision, mission, and the motto. The motto of St. Lawrence Academy is that education is the key of life. Without education, you would have not interviewed somebody called achier manyuat now. Exactly. It is through education that made it. So I always encourage them that the only way you can unlock the well or the potentialities in you is to acquire education. And that is what we are doing. We are trying to change the narrative about South Sudan, because education is worst when you translate it to action. Education is not just a mere paper like I put it on here. It has to give impact, positive impact to a society. If your education is not contributing to a society, that means you are not educated.
So it's one question that has always been in my mind that I want to ask you. Why did you choose venturing into education sector? Yet there's many other fields in entrepreneur that you can venture in, like agriculture, because we are facing food problems, and then we have real estates. Why education?
As I mentioned earlier that I study in both Uganda and Kenya, and I've learned a lot of challenges. So it goes to what an American president said, that you think what you can do to your country rather than expecting your country. I decide to do what can serve my country in a different angle, and that is through education. The idea of opening the school is a give back to a society. It's a give back to society in the sense that if you go to economic, they say there are factors of production.
Exactly.
4 factors of production are: you have land, you have capital, one of them is entrepreneur, and labor. Now, the organizer of these factors of production is entrepreneur. If entrepreneur is not educated, you cannot talk of factors of production. We have resources in our country. Determinant of our of a thriving state is when you have qualified human capital in the country. So I choose to venture into education sector not to make money, but to change the narrative about our country outside there. We want to be on the same stage with the rest of African countries, and especially the East African country. When you compare us with Kenya, Uganda on comparative advantage, you find that we have nothing to put on table.
Exactly.
We are a member of the East African community, but are we standing on the same pit? No. The only thing to unlock, the only key to unlock this is education. And this will go down to our system to make sure that education is an area where we can actually reach to the level where our neighboring countries are. So I decide to venture into this as a give back to society, that once you are living as a human being, you must do something to change. Your knowledge must be translated to action, and that knowledge must also change life to others. That's why I choose with a passion.
Basically, I want to ask you, when you are starting the school, what are the challenges that you face during the construction? Because there might be someone outside there or someone in the future that will want to get in. So what are the challenges?
Steve, to answer your question, there are a lot of challenges in the construction side. One is start with the capital that you have. You know, most of building materials are owned and sold by foreigners in this country, and most of them, all the items are translated to dollars. When you go with your pound, it has to be converted into dollar. I face a lot of challenge, and we are still facing a lot of challenge. So the challenge is cost of construction material is very high. It's very high in our country, and I don't blame them, because we don't have infant industry or factory that are producing cement, iron bars, iron sheet, and many other things. So there are a lot of challenges.
Can you please tell us, how is your school different from the rest of the schools in South Sudan in general?
Thank you. How St. Laurent is different from other schools? When we initiate the idea of the school, the first thing I've done was to research around benchmarking the operating school. What is their standard way of doing things in the country? What services are they offering? Because when you are putting things, you must come with a different thing to fill the gap.
Exactly.
So we discover majority of the schools were operating without lab. I want to say that we were the first school when we initiated. Immediately we constructed a science lab and we operated, and I'm sure you are aware, you came, you visited us some time back. That is one. Two, we have the issue of girl child. Our girl child education system, the number of girls in majority of our schools is lacking behind. The number is less compared to boys. And there are many factors. You can talk of cultural factors, you can talk of challenges of economic and socio-economic factors. So when you talk of cultural factors, our people don't allow their girl to access education based on the background that you are aware, especially with the pastoralist community. You don't take your girl to school because in town or school, the girl might be turned to be a criminal or what, which is a very wrong concept. We want to get rid of it. This is one of the things that is making girl not to attend school. The second one is what I call socio-economic factor. When a girl comes from a very humble background, she's not in a position to provide herself with central part. Sometimes, if it happens, the girl go on period, she might decide to leave school. And if it happens in a class, she might decide not to come to school again because it is too shameful. Which is wrong. They are the one. Without that, you and I should have not been here.
Exactly.
St. Laurent identified that gap with the research outside to establish girls' safe house. I can tell you, we are the only school in the country which has operating girls' safe house. The other thing is the mode of teaching. We have adopted different models, which I cannot explain, but we are using it for our internal strategies. Our model of monitoring period, making sure that a learner should not miss a period that are allocated in timetable are there. This made us unique from others.
I'm actually happy with what I've said because girl child education is the most important thing. We value our ladies so much because we need them to be the same level. Even though it's not the same, we need them to be educated because these people are the ones, the reasons why we are in the world. Without ladies, that's a problem. Because now, when you look at the violence, we call it the domestic violence, the violence that's happening to ladies. What is it? Because you remember there are two ladies that have been affected. One was having an issue. She was having an issue at home. I don't know what happened. I was having an issue, and then the other one was also, I remember, she was named by the parents. What is your take on that, actually?
Thank you. This takes us to our cultural background, and I don't blame them because of education. Sincerely speaking, the only way we can change this country is to educate our masses, to invest a lot in education sector, because all these things come because of the level of education. Most of our foreigners are not understanding the value of education. All these things come because of lack of education. And the only way we can do is for the government to liaise with the private school. If possible, we can do what other states, other countries are doing by subsidizing the fees for girls, where the government has a certain number of girls in the school, and then it is now shared between a private school and the government, and then the government pay that private school to allow the level of girl child education in the country. This thing will go because we just came out, as they said, and you are aware. So there are a lot, and the only way we can unlock all this is education. Steve, there are a lot of stories. Even in this St. Laurent, there are some girl I have offered to allow them study free. Based on the history, if the girl shall come and explain some history, I wish you should have time and really talk to them, because that one will inspire others girl. I sometimes feel like shedding tears, and I end up even shedding tears. They are here. I allow them to be in the morning. Because of what? Cultural aspect. We are not understanding. Allow your child to access education, and she will be in a position to help you. Yes. So all these are happening because of education. It comes back to education.
We really want God to continue helping you, because it is only through the lives of people who that will change this nation. It is not through any other person, but it through us, because we are the same people who are going to liberate this country. Our forefathers have liberated it through the war, through the gun. We are here now to liberate it through that education. Now, I want to talk basically about your school. Do you like the way you have told me, do you offer scholarship to them?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, we have 3 categories of scholarship. Steve, I must, and our viewers must acknowledge that I'm a man who has nothing at the disposal. At the personal level, I don't have any kind of financial capital. I'm not a rich man, as per se, but I'm looking at the situation. We cannot sit and wait for the problem to be solved. Once you talk of a school around here, there are many schools. What differentiates us is the quality. The quality of services that we are giving in terms of teaching. So there are 3 categories. We create a competition in classes. It's true. So once you got number 1, you don't pay school fees. This one is to encourage the learner and also to save the parent from the burden of paying school fees. That is 1. 2, we offer support to vulnerable, like the history we are talking about here. When it happens, you have no where to get support, even where to stay. We accommodate you fully and we give you sponsorship. I want to tell you that I went to Mangaten, the one that is just very near here. Yes. I enter myself and pick some learners. Majority are in primary and 2 are in secondary now. They have joined secondary school.
Wonderful.
I decide that because whenever I first there, they could greet, oh, Director of St. Laurent, Director of St. Laurent. So I ask myself now, what should I do best to this one? And they are not going to school. And they are calling me Director of St. Laurent. St. Laurent is a school. So to change the face, of course, I cannot help all of them because of the background. I belong in terms of wealth, I don't have ability. Let me accommodate those who can speak good English to the school. That is one, that is the second category. The other one is on area of sport. You know, those who play very well, we give them scholarship. Yeah.
How many batch have you graduated so far, both in primary and secondary? Those who finished high school and those that are finished right now, because you have 3 years.
In a 3-year operation, we started school with F3.
Okay,
So that, yes, because we could not start year fully from year 1 to year 4 because of the background as I'm talking to you. There are some school who engage learners for the sake of entering to the school. So we say to set our standard, let us just get senior 1 up to senior 3. The one in senior 3 will be the one to go to senior 4. We have 2 batch and we have, it will be the 3rd one now that we have graduated so far. And to mention that, out of the 3 years of St. Laurent operating, we emerged the 4th best countrywide in terms of performance. Primary, we have 2 batch. It's going to be the 3rd batch now.
Okay. Now, let me talk to you about basically the challenges that are facing you based on our education system or curriculum. Do you have challenges that are facing St. Laurent?
This is not only to St. Laurent Academy. It is just education sector.
Education sector.
Yeah. One of it is, you know, we are neighboring country like Uganda, Kenya. Their system of education is not matching to the standard of our high school education. Once you get your South Sudan certificate of education, you will not be allowed to enter to university directly. You will undergo what they call access program, either 2 years or 1 year.
And Kenya.
In Uganda and Kenya. And we are a member of East African community. To avoid this, let us harmonize our education system with the rest of East African country. All East African country have A level. For us, we are aiming at O level.
O level, yeah.
These things affect us. That is one. The second, of course, prevailing economic conditions are facing us. Not only St. Laurent, all education sector. You find when an individual income is low, she or he will not be in position to afford the demand of paying the child in the school. Ideally, Stephen, education sector is not where you can get rich. Education sector, you do it for legacy, and we are doing it for legacy with a passion. So those challenges are there. It will be good later on when economy improves generally, when you are able to afford paying your child the school. That is where now you find you have relieved the burden, or you have reduced the challenge to the school. So these are the challenges we are facing.
John, I share, I'm really, when you speak, you really touch me internally. Now let me talk to you basically about you. If you are given a chance or an opportunity to change something in our education system, what will it be?
One, we need our education system to upgrade to a level of A level, to have A level. And I'm happy our great Minister of Education, Madam Aoud, is trying. She's doing her role. I believe the conversation is changing. We might have change of curriculums as time goes to at A level. That's one. Two, to have an independent national examination body, which is semi-independent from the ministry. That one will allow them now to make decisions independently. These are the things. If our honorable minister come across our interview now, I'll tell her that, please, can we change something in area of this one so that we work comparing ourselves with our neighboring country, Uganda, Kenya, and others. Because anything you do, always benchmark. You should do comparatives.
Exactly.
Benchmark your neighboring institution or country. That is where you drive your work.
Thank you so much for answering perfectly that question. I want to talk about St. Laurent Academy. Do you have any organization that has ever or is helping the school?
Thank you so much. As I mentioned earlier, that our donors are only parents. We don't have any organization supporting girls. We don't have an organization that is supporting boys. We don't have an organization that is supporting children in nursery and primary. Our donors are foreign. It is what foreign are paying is what we use to pay teachers and run the school.
What about this organization called GUESS? They are closed?
Oh yes, GUESS has been giving support to girls. This one, that support we cannot measure it. But we appreciate the GUESS. GUESS are giving support to girls, and they are giving some incentive to girls for them to get solved and other things. It is the only organization that is doing well, and we appreciate. We appreciate the GUESS. GUESS is doing a lot for girls child. Even in St. Laurent, they are supporting girls. But we are looking at the magnitude of the support. Is it sustainable? Assuming you give a girl 13,000, that one cannot really help with the current economic.
What do you prefer they can do instead of giving that 13,000? What do you prefer they can do? Because they will be watching this.
If GUESS ask me, if they ask me today, I would suggest to them, give a scholarship to girls. Just go to the school, get the number of girls you want to sponsor. Sponsor based on the school fees structure.
Wonderful.
That one will save them from the burden. Because you find very hard, our girls are not able to sometimes attend classes when they are not paid the fees. Yeah.
Now, thank you so much with that. As an entrepreneur, achier, you are part of the people who we can consider as entrepreneurs. What kind of advice would you tell young South Sudanese outside there that will one day venture into entrepreneurship? What kind of advice?
One of the advice I can talk about drive from me as an individual is to dream, to be employer, then to be employed. That's one. Two, don't get scared. Don't get scared that I will not make it. If a son of a mother who has not gone to school and a father can make it to set an institution, why not you? It's just your dream. Of course, I don't blame them, the young people, because our current economic situation is not supportive, and even some law are not supportive for investment. Those who are dreaming, the dreamers. Why? When you have an idea in a paper without fund, it cannot run. But once you have an idea and you have commercial banks that are giving loan, you can get it from the bank and start from where you are. You can go. But it is not happening. We are finding it hard. Just like I mentioned it earlier that I try when I want to start the construction of the school. I went to Minister of Finance then, asking them to give me a letter of changing SSP into dollars so that I go and procure item from Uganda or Kenya, the building material. I paid it hard, so I had to go to the local market here and buy an item, which made it hard. You know very well we operate St. Laurent without window, without doors, and even down it was dusty. So that posed me. But if I were to be given a chance of getting hard currencies, I would have go and get the item which could have complete the construction of the building. So there are a lot of challenges that the dreamers cannot jump. But that one should not scare you away. You do what you can do, and time, thing will change for you to achieve your dream.
We just had a very nice conversation with the director of St. Laurent Academy. If you are new on this page, we are Host Media on Facebook, and on YouTube we are Human of South Sudan. And please don't hesitate to follow us on this page and David Rich Media on Facebook. And don't forget, if you want to know each and everything about St. Laurent, don't forget their page. Don't forget to support them. They are St. Laurent
Academy, an ideal center where quality matters.
Exactly. Don't forget to follow them on Facebook as well, in order to get what is new coming up. And him, the director, will always be updating us whatever comes. Thank you so much, John Achier.